Our next speaker will be John Pritchard, who will talk about where do I find what, or how do I become an LPO superuser.
Okay, good morning, and good evening in Australia. Right, so obviously it all begins with www.ezo.org. This is our public face. It's aimed at the public, obviously, and also rather targeted towards the media in order to reach a wider audience. It really is a veritable treasure trove of astronomy-related resources. It's great for public presentations, general interest talks, publicity information for ESO, and all kinds of other things. And from personal experience, I can tell you, you can even find planetarium shows and run a kid's birthday party and keep a bunch of 8-year-olds enchanted for hours. Get the right button. But the ESO website has basically 3 faces. It has our public face, we have the science face, and we have the user portal. So let's go through those. Start with the public face. Fantastic pictures, latest news, all rather ESO-centric, of course, as you'd expect. You can get videos from the ESOcast. You've got pictures of the week. It's refreshed every week. You've got our social presence. You've got highlights. You can buy stuff from the ESO shop, ESO blog. This is really cool. There's a webcam, right, which points to the observatory. So this is a live picture. It's not a live picture right now. This is a slide, but be brave. This morning I'm on the train and I'm double checking my talk, right? And I look at this website and you can see the lasers. This morning at 9 o'clock on the train, I'm looking at the lasers on Paranal. That's cool. I'm not going to be brave enough to switch to with the web browser and see if we can still see them. You can try it in the audience now. I won't be offended. There's a collection of ESO's 100 best images, so you can spice up your talk, nice backgrounds, desktop images, whatever you want. Lots of great stuff, and there's direct links for the public outreach to all of our main sites. So tremendous stuff, lots of stuff to fill up whatever you want. But that's not going to get your science done. So we've got our science pages. This provides full and complete access to all the information you need to do science with. But it's been there for a while, and it's evolved, and there are hundreds of pages, probably thousands. I'm willing to bet over 1,000 pages. So it's not always easy to find the specific bit of information you're looking for. First of all, how do you get there? Well, from the main page, it's hidden up here in a little link. Wouldn't want to scare away all our loyal public. And you end up here, a bit more somber, a bit more science-oriented. As I say, 1,000 pages. It's not surprising though, because we have at least 12 telescopes at the moment and 19 instruments, as we've heard. That's being conservative. But we have made an effort to make it easier to find stuff, but it's still 1,000 pages. So on the left-hand side, you've got a menu bar, which is breaking everything down into subjects. So we begin with direct access to each of the individual sites, and from there you can go to the instruments, the facilities available, etc. We skip over all the fancy new stuff that Bruno told us about yesterday, and we jump down to actually preparing your observations once you've worked out what you want to do, how to prepare your observations, how to prepare a proposal, make a proposal. We have links to software you might want to use to analyze the data that you either get from the archive or from your own observations. There are links to quality control, which is an important feature of ESO, which provides current status of the instruments online. Data arrives from the observatory. During the calibrations taken during the day, they're processed within minutes of arriving in the archive, at least within the hour, and the information is processed and put online directly so you can see whether the instrument is behaving properly. And so if you're subscribed to notifications for your program and you find out you got observations last night, you can go quickly and check that the instrument was behaving properly, at least between yesterday and today, so hopefully it was okay during the night. And you can even get the entire history. So there's a wealth of information there. What else do we have? We have the Science Archive facility. There's just truckloads of stuff that you can find there. And up to. And then there's everything else that doesn't fit into any of the above in terms of science, doing science with ESO telescopes, people, your science, everybody else's science, and so on. And then there's thousands of pages. So nobody obviously can be expected to read and absorb all of that. So we've introduced something we call the user portal, which is basically the gateway to ESO's information. It too is evolving, so we add and remove stuff. Hopefully we keep it simple and focused, so it doesn't end up like the science pages with thousands of links that you can't follow. And there are, as I discovered while I was preparing this presentation, a few things that are missing, and hopefully some of them at least will get added in the not too distant future. So how do you get there? From the main science pages, there's a link, a bit more obvious than on the main page itself, where you can also go directly. You've already heard about it. You do need an account, but it's easy to get. It's free. Anyone can grab one. And once you log in, you have your ESO portal. And it's structured around the workflow that you as our community need to follow when you want to make a proposal, when you want to get some data. You need to make a proposal, that's phase 1. You need to, if you're successful, you need to prepare the observations, that's phase 2. And once you've got all your data and results, you can send them back to ESO, that's phase 3. And there's always the archive, which you can use as a wealth of information. And you should even check before you make your proposal that the data you need isn't already there. Okay, so let's go through things step by step, starting with phase 1. You can download the form, proposal form that you need to make your proposal on, but when do you submit it? Well, this is one of the things that I think is missing. We should have a countdown here that says you've got a month, a week, an hour left to submit your proposal. And as you heard yesterday, everyone should read the call for proposals, but where is it? Okay, so a couple of things missing there. Let's be brave. Let's Google for the call for proposals. And luckily enough, our top hit is the right page to go. But be careful, because as you can see, the second hit, and I did this yesterday, is the call for proposals for P101. So it's out of date. So if for some reason you went to the second hit, and actually when you search internally in ESO, you get this hit first for some reason. So Google is great, but use it with caution. I'm sure you all do. You all know that anyway, but be careful. So if you follow this first one, you end up on, thankfully, this page, which is the right one. It's the general page, which tells you that twice a year we have a call for proposals. And the link you should follow from here is this one here, a call for proposals, which is a little confusing because we actually call the PDF document the call for proposals. And if you click on this link, call for proposals, you go directly to the PDF document. But it's better to go to this one, which is an overview page, which gives you, as well as the call for proposals PDF document, a bunch of other information, when the deadline is, be careful about Central European summertime, and a bunch of other information as well. So that's the first place to start. As I say, you can get to the actual PDF call for proposals either from this link or this one here. And there we go, we've found the call for proposals. What else is missing? Next up, so you read the call for proposals. If for some reason you didn't follow the links that are in the call for proposals about the instruments, then coming back to the user portal, there's no detailed information or no easy way to get to the detailed information about the individual instruments. So you follow the link here, Science User Information, which will actually take you back to the science page. And the observing facilities takes you to the individual observatories. Get it around. And once from there, you can select the observatory you want. Oh, I jumped something there. And from the observatory page, there are links to the individual instruments. So it's a bit of a tree, obviously, 1,000 web pages, we can't put everything on the front page. Next up, phase 2. Again, it would be nice to have a deadline. Nice to have a counter for the deadline for when your phase 2 is due. That maybe is something, it's not as easy as it sounds. Okay, implementing a countdown should be trivial, but the point is the date we have to have stored somewhere. And we haven't thought of that in the past yet, but maybe it's possible. So from here, you can, as Giacomo showed you, prepare your observing materials with P2. You can submit your target and set up change requests, direct links. An important concept is delegation, which I'd like to discuss a wee bit. Delegation is the ability to allow somebody else, when you're the PI of a program, it's yours and you have all the rights, and basically nobody else does unless you delegate things to them. Anyway, I just have to catch up with. So from this link here, you can delegate to other users, to your co-Is, the ability to prepare the phase 2 material, the OBs, and the ability to go and get the data from the archive. When you have a program and your data is acquired, it is yours for sole access as the PI for 1 year. Nobody else can get it, except people you delegate the right to, so your other co-Is. So as a big PI, you can get somebody else, you can delegate off the process of preparing the OBs, producing the data, sit back and take all the glory when the paper is published. Now, something else that's important at phase 2, a number of our instruments require some specialized observation preparation software. For FORCE, we have FPOS, which for several of its modes, FIMS for FORCE, which allows you to accurately position the slits of your multi-object spectroscopy or your mask, or MXU, the various modes of multi-object spectroscopy that we offer, and so on. For FPOS, you have 130 odd fibers. It'd be difficult to position them all manually. We have a tool that does that for you. For KMOS, there is the tool Karma, which is really cool. So it moves the arms around and automatically positions them. Get the software, try it out, and just run the tutorial. It's so cool. And as Monica mentioned earlier this morning, there's GuideCam, which covers Muse, Vizier, and Hawkeye. And we're working on applying it to other instruments. All of this software is available from the ESO software repositories now. As of P101, this was released in about December of last year. We have a web page on the USD pages, which gives you instructions on how to set that up. This covers Mac, using Mac ports. We provide binary for 10.9 to 10.12, but under Mac ports, whatever version you have, as long as you have Mac ports, if it can't find the binary, it'll try and install it from source. So basically, everything is covered for Mac. For 10.13, the latest version, if you try and use it, you just have to, it'll just compile it for you locally. We support natively Fedora from version 20 to 25. Soon, in about a month's time, we'll update that to 26 and 27. We have experimental support for Ubuntu, and you can we also support Scientific Linux 7, and through this you can also use the same RPMs for CentOS and Red Hat Enterprise Linux. In fact, any Red Hat Enterprise Linux based system will be able to use those. To get the instructions for your platform, you just select from this pull down menu your platform and it'll display things. With the Ubuntu packages, you can basically also use the same packages for any Ubuntu based system, as long as you can work out which repository you should point to that. So Linux Mint, for example, Henri already, and as soon as it was released, tested this, and that works too. So once you've delegated all the tasks off to somebody else to do them for you, and you've pointed them at the right place to be able to actually prepare their observations, and they've gone away and been observed, you want to get your data from the archive. As Monica mentioned, you can get this through the link here, check the status of your observing run. Clicking on that, it'll take you to a list of all of your runs, as well as the ones that are delegated to you. And from there, it gives you a list, basically a log of all of your observations obtained so far. If you go further down, you have detailed information about each and every OB execution. But at the top here, you have checkboxes where you can select individual OBs, and from that, you can then query directly for the raw data or even for the reduced data when it's available. Okay, so after phase 2, and you've got your data, you want to get to phase 3. But phase 3 is all about returning some of your science products to ESO. But there's a step missing there. How do you get from phase 2 to phase 3? You need to reduce and analyze your data. Well, as I've mentioned several times now, the Science Archive facility provides data products. So that's an option. And we also have ESO pipelines. So basically, you can get them from the Science Archive facility, or you've got to do it yourself, either with the ESO pipelines or otherwise. Now, about the science data products, we have data streams, so they're being continually produced, but it doesn't support all instruments. It's only a limited number of instruments so far. We are working to expand that, but it's a slow process. So at the moment, we have HARPS, Pharos, UVIS, Giraffe, Muse and Muse Deep, Hawkeye, and Pioneer. And X-Shooter will be updated in the last version that will be published online. These things are produced on a monthly basis though. So it's a batch processing once a month. So if your observations are taken the day before that monthly processing starts, woohoo, you've got them the next day. If they're taken the day after, you have to wait a month. So there's a time delay possible. On average, you'll wait about 15 days. So if that's fine, but may not suit all purposes. Also note that these reductions are generally not optimized for any particular purpose. For example, the Giraffe observations do not have any cosmic ray correction or sky subtraction. Things can be important depending on the purpose in the science case. Why have I ended up back there? So I was just a reminder, yes, so you can get it directly from here, from the link there. The pipelines, on the other hand, together with Reflex, which we'll hear a lot about and see a lot about this afternoon, the pipelines at least are available for all instruments. We have Reflex workflows for a growing number of them, but not necessarily all of them. And the pipelines, although we have a pipeline for every instrument, it doesn't necessarily support every single mode of every instrument. Some of the pipelines are more robust than others. Some of them will produce science-ready data, depending on how you adjust the parameters. Some of them, that's more challenging. Again, these are available from the ESO software repositories. In fact, the ESO software repositories were created for the pipelines, and we've jumped on the boat for the observation preparation software. Again, Mac OS, Fedoras, Scientific Linux. There's currently no Ubuntu support, at least not from ESO, but I did note once when I was searching for packages in ESO packages in Ubuntu that there is actually an ESO pipeline package. I don't know what it does, but there is some community support for it. Hopefully we'll have this within a year or 3. If your OS is not one of these, there is always the install script possibility, and the same is true also for the observation preparation software. There are installations from Direct Tarball, etc. So it's not limited to these, but these are the recommended ways to install these packages. After you've done all of your work for your own data, there is always the archive services. Lots of ways to get other data, supporting data. Check that, well, all the things that you can do with our archive. We're going to hear a lot more about the archive, and especially the new developments coming in the coming talks. There's most of what I've said now is related and relevant to when you're sitting in front of your computer in your desk. But as we heard yesterday, everyone should at least once in their life try to go to the observatory. And you need to know all about how to do that once you get time. This is under observing with ESO telescopes and visiting astronomers. And from there you get a page with all the information you need, depending on where you're going to, whether it be at Lucia or Paranal or anything else, and everything you need to do, your travel form that you need to fill in to be able to go, a report at the end of your run, etc. So on. So beginning life as a super user, start with the user portal. From there, know what it can give you, where you can get to, where you have to go elsewhere in order to find a few other things like call for proposals. And whatever you do, just remember, if you think the website is difficult to navigate, just be glad that you don't have to navigate around ESO's HQ building every day.
Do you have any questions for John?
Hi, I'm not sure that it's the right question to you, but I'm wondering if there are any plans to update, upgrade Skisoft software.
SciSoft. I know that a brand new version is being prepared right now.
Sorry?
A brand new version is being prepared right now.
Okay.
For release around about April, I think. SciSoft principally is driven by the observatory. It's what the observatory wants on top of VLT software. And then we've prepared it, so we might as well make it available to the community. We have a major upgrade to VLT software coming in April at the telescope. And along with that, SciSoft needs to be updated. So there will be a new version at that time. Okay. Exactly which platforms will be supported, I don't know, but I hope at least it'll be this list that we provided here, although it won't be Mac because that's always been separate.
Thanks.
Any more questions for John? Any questions from our participants online? If not, let's thank John again.